I'm Don Hibland. I'm the president of the Paralyzed Veterans of America. And I'll tell you a little bit about that here in a minute. But we have this flyer here and it says, are you a veteran? Or do you have spinal cord injury or disease? Or do you know anyone who is a veteran that may have spinal cord injury or disease? You might have a friend, you might have an uncle, you might have someone that has been diagnosed with spinal cord injury or disease and disorder of the spinal cord. Now these are such things as MS, ALS, and other neurological impairments. Now these now are able to be covered by the PVA, the Paralyzed Veterans of America, 501(c) nonprofit organization out of DC. The tri-state chapter here in Oregon, Washington, and Idaho is chartered in Oregon in 1976. That's 50 years, almost 50 years ago. So we're going to be celebrating that next year, our 50th anniversary of the Oregon chapter, which is now the tri-state chapter. We've got a much bigger, vast territory to serve now, and that goes from the Rocky Mountains all the way to the Pacific Ocean. And if anybody's traveled that distance, you know that is a very long way. You cannot travel through it as a representative of the chapter and really get out there to the folks. There's just no way, it's impossible. So what you need to do is you just spread the word that the PVA is here to handle the lifetime claims of all veterans who suffer from spinal cord injury or disease or disorder of the spinal cord. Our location is in Silverton now. Now we used to be over here in Salem, over here on Silverton Road. It was by the U-Haul place in the Harley Davidson over there. We had a nice little 3,000 square foot building over there that was all right, but you know, we did have homeless sleeping on the doorstep and having parties in our parking lot at night, and there's not a whole lot we could do it other than hire security to keep people away from our building. And that gets a little expensive, so what we did is we formed a property committee, and the property search committee says, hey, where do we want to be? Well, we came up with the idea that it'd be kind of cool to be in small town USA. Silverton is small town USA. It's the Oregon Garden Resort town out there. Silver Falls is out there. Now, we're located at 600 North Water Street in Silverton, Oregon. Now, that's right across the street from the Goodwill. If you go to Silverton, there's a Goodwill on the left. There's a Paralyzed Vets on the right. Our phone number is 503-362-7998, and our website, as I gave you guys on the 5 facts, is tristatepva.org. And our mission is to educate our members, veterans, volunteers, and the public with spreading awareness of PVA, its history, and how we help spinal cord injury or disease and disorder veterans by improving health care and spinal cord injury, disease, disorder research and education. One of the things that your money, that when you donate to the PVA or you donate to the Tri-State PVA, we're actually able to donate some of that money to research and education. And recently we had a Yale scientist come up with a new invention, a drug that is going to be out in the market here hopefully pretty soon. Now that drug is going to take out 100% of the pain in the human body, but there are no side effects. So has anybody heard about that yet? No, because they're keeping it under wraps. I can tell you about it today though, and it was the money that was given to the PVA by the sponsors and donors that allowed that drug to have all of the research and education done through the Yale University. And now the people in the country and in the world are going to benefit from that. I would love to be pain free. That would be beautiful. We protect veterans' rights and benefits. Now that is our job of going to Capitol Hill and talking to our politicians. You guys would know them as Merkley and Wyden. And I'm not sure who your congressperson is, but whoever that congressperson is for your area. Now, on the one that I really had a great relationship with and still do is Lori Chavez DeReamer. She's now the Secretary of Labor, which is really great because Lori's big on trade schools for the military and veterans to get into, and not so much this just going to the 4-year universities. So that's really good. Improving awareness of disability rights. Once again, that's the advocacy part where we're making sure that the ADA is enforced and that we're actually up on the Hill always legislating, always lobbying for new legislation that is needed for our veterans. Now, remember, everything that we do translates down to the disabled community. Go outside and look at that little blue wheelchair thing on the parking lot with the little 5-foot, lines in it. That's the place where you park your van or your car so you can get out of in a wheelchair. They're everywhere now. Well, Paralyzed Veterans of America is one of the main organizations in this country that use the ADA Act to make sure that those placards and these parking spots are here, the little push buttons on the doors, these types of things. We offer sports and health promotion activities. That's very important because sports and recreation, guys, is the way that we rehabilitate. It's also the way that we participate in the camaraderie of other veterans like ourselves that may be spinal cord injured, or that we learn more and more about how doing sports from a wheelchair is totally possible. It's totally possible. We just had the 43rd National Veteran Wheelchair Games where we partner with the VA on so that our veterans can actually go out and participate in sports from a wheelchair, mini sports, all kinds of sports. You'd be surprised what we can do from a wheelchair. I played wheelchair basketball for 20 years, and I skied, and I did cycling, and I did all these different sports. I played tennis. Swinging that club over the top of your head, that racket over the top of your head for tennis, and then hitting the racquetball it's pretty intense. Now we have pickleball, which is much easier. We don't have to put as much exertion into the serve or anything like that. So it makes it a little bit easier, but there are extreme events that are done from a wheelchair that you can really get hurt in if you don't know how to play them very well, like basketball and rugby. Increasing accessibility and removing architectural barriers in Oregon, Idaho, and Washington. Once again, that is the enforcement of the ADA Act. The ADA Act was passed in the 90s, and the goal of the ADA Act is that we make all of our buildings, all of our government buildings, our public buildings, our doorways, our bathrooms, accessible so that someone who's in a wheelchair can actually use that bathroom or get into that building. They don't have to show up to a building and see 3 steps up. That's not gonna happen. I remember when I was younger and I was running around in a wheelchair after newly injured, I could hardly go anywhere. I had my buddies lift me up stairs just to go into establishments because they wanted to go in there. And they're like, Don, we'll just pick you up and take you in. And I'm like, well, thanks a lot, guys. But they wanted to go there and I was all for it. And then you gotta come down too. And so anyway, it's very important that we have ramps and that we have what I call no barrier access into buildings, into establishments, into businesses, and that we have turnaround space in a bathroom, and that we're able to actually go into a stall and close the door so we can have privacy. So if you know any folks that have businesses now that are located in certain buildings, that in restaurants and bars and all these places, they always tell you that they're grandfathered in. After 30 years, you're not grandfathered in anymore. You need to make your place accessible. Now, we do this by just asking them, hey, can you make this place accessible? And if they don't, then, we may ask them again. But eventually, we may have to use a little bit more enforcement through the state or the feds to be able to try to, help them. Maybe there's a grant money available. Because ODVA does have grant money available to remove architectural barriers from a building or remodel a bathroom sometimes. It just depends. They go through certain cycles of funding and it's either in the budget or it's not. So it's very important to remember if you ever come across a business or have one where you think, hey, I gotta remodel this bathroom so the guy in a wheelchair can get in here and close the door. Really appreciate that. We help enforce the provisions of the ADA. That's what I was just talking about. That's very important. That ADA Act is landmark legislation that was passed, Americans with Disabilities Act. If our mission is to help our veterans with spinal cord injury and disease disorder in the spinal cord have the highest quality of life and provide leadership in advocating for care, then what is our vision? Well, our vision is to have a vibrant chapter of the Paralyzed Veterans of America where members, veterans, and the community will volunteer, participate in recreational activities, and enjoy each other's company. Now, Ben knows this, Dave knows this, Randy knows this. that are getting more involved with our chapter. We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for folks to help us out because we have 3 staff. I'm not a staff member, I'm a volunteer, but I'm the president of the chapter. And anybody that's been the president of a nonprofit organization knows that someone has to run the place. And so I was given that responsibility, and so I run the place. Now I do have 3 staff: office manager, we have a graphics tech designer that does all of our website and all this promotional information you see, it's all done in-house. And then we also have a development coordinator. A development coordinator's job is to coordinate and develop events. And when we have an event, to set it up, tear it down, and make sure that the volunteers show up to help work the event. Now, PVA just finished up 11 days at the state fair. Every single day, 10 to 10, 10 to 11. We made sure that the volunteers were there, that the staff was there. We had a great state fair. We had a great awareness event, because that's why we're really there, is to spread awareness and ask veterans, do you need help? How can we help you? If we can't help you as part of our national service officers doing it, we're gonna point them in the direction of who can. Is it the ODVA? Is it county veteran service officer at Marion County or Lynn County or Polk County, any of the counties? Anybody needs help that's a veteran can go to the county service officer and ask for help. That's their job with the ODVA. That's why they're funded. That's why those county service officers are there. But there's different organizations that can help different classifications of veterans. And one of those is we must be visible and available to veterans to inquire and seek our help. That includes them asking us, hey, I got a friend, or hey, my dad, needs help. Well, tell us all about it. They may qualify to join our chapter. They may qualify to join the PVA and get that lifetime representation for themselves and their spouse. But we can usually point them right there as county veterans officers or the VSOs. Now, a VSO is a veteran service officer. Now, our Silverton chapter office is 11,000 square feet. We're so lucky. We are so blessed. The Lord has blessed our chapter in so many ways. And Ben, you're one of those people that's come to the chapter that's blessing the chapter. Randy, you guys, Randy's wearing a hat. Look at what Randy's got on. That's the hat. That's free advertising right there for our chapter right there, and the PVA. What do those 3 letters stand for? Paralyzed Veterans of America. It's as simple as that. Now, we are across the street from the Goodwill store, as I said before. We have space for office activity, recreational, boardroom. We have meeting space for our NSOs to meet with our members. They never have been able to do that in our Salem office because they wouldn't come there. Because they couldn't come there because they couldn't guarantee their safety. We just couldn't do it. I go there for board meetings and I believe, wow, what's going on here? Now if you drive by it on Silverton Road, you'll notice it's a white building with a red roof, a red painting on the top, and they put a fence, a gate, all the way across the whole thing so it's locked off at night. The new owner did that. We sold the building to him and he did that. We're having a capabilities expo at the building. We had a treasurer named Dan Service, and he has MS, had MS, because Dan passed away in April. And Dan was a real advocate for Paralyzed Veterans of America and what we can do for veterans, how we can help. And so what we decided is Dan wanted to have a capabilities expo at the building in April. In April is PVA Awareness Month nationally. And so next year, we're at our 80th anniversary of PVA, 50th anniversary of the Oregon chapter. And PVA has helped out so many veterans. You don't even know how many people have been helped out by PVA. And you wouldn't know it because veterans are very quiet people. They don't tell others, other than veterans, how they were helped by a certain organization or a national service officer. Very closed off individuals. They're proud. I've learned this, extremely proud, do not want help, but they know in the back of their mind they may need help. And it's possible that help comes in the form of our national service officer who can actually talk to them about where they served, what they were exposed to. Do they have any kind of ailments that are going on, any kind of medical issues that may qualify under the new PACT Act? Now, the PACT Act is a promise to address Comprehensive Toxins Act. It was passed in 2022. And I'm going to tell you about that here in a minute after I finish off going through what we can do at our building. We can rent out meeting space. We can have hobbies there. We can have sporting events there. We have plenty of space to do anything we would like to do within that building. One of the things we didn't have at the other building was storage space and meeting space. Now we have that. So if you know anybody who'd like to come out to Silverton and have their event in our building, we are now able to allow that to happen at our building now. And so that would be just call the office. We're also going to have our annual membership meeting banquet at our office as well. Now we're able to do that as well and host all of our members that will show up and the volunteers that are coming and have some time out there to reflect on what we've done for the year and how we're going forward with the next year. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to have bingo and music and food and all that fun stuff catered by the Wooden Nickel there in Silverton. We also have a medical equipment donation service. Now, Dave over there, we gave Dave a wheelchair. And I thought it was a great wheelchair for Dave, but now I'm finding out that the wheelchair doesn't fit Dave right. But that's okay. I got 20 or 30 more of them out there that we're going to find one that will fit him. Now, a medical equipment donation service is anything you think of medical equipment. That goes with power wheelchairs, that goes with walkers, scooters, wheelchairs, back benches, anything that you can think of that someone may need and they cannot buy, we may have for free. It's a pay-it-forward service that we're able to offer as part of our hospital liaison peer mentoring program out of our chapter office. So anyone that you know, say, hey, you know, the paralyzed vets out there in Silverton may have a wheelchair for you or a walker for you. We got those walkers like that lady over on the end down there has. We have those out there. You know, we have all kinds of stuff. So just call us and ask us, do you have? You'd be surprised what we got out there. Now, how do we raise funds to operate? Well, PVA does not take any money from the government. I'll tell you that right now. We operate solely on the generosity of our sponsors, our donors, and our members. It's as simple as that. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We can offer tax write-off to our donors and our sponsors. We fundraise through awareness events like the State Fair we just did for 11 days, and we'll be at the Sublimity Harvest Festival this weekend from Friday through Sunday. And then we're across the highway at their State and Golf Course on Sunday at 10 a.m. for the Red, White, and Blue Golf Tournament. Now, this is a golf tournament that we got involved with a group of guys that's been doing it for 20-something years. It's after 9/11. It's the 9/11 Red, White, and Blue Trivia Golf Tournament. There's flyers sitting right over on that table over there. This is a really cool event. There's a lot of tributing going on because of what our country went through with 9/11. And then all of our guys that stepped up and all the people that stepped up and said, hey, I want to serve the country. And they went and they fought in our wars. And many of them have issues now. And the VA is trying to deal with those. And also PVA is helping to deal with those when we can. And the ability that we're actually able to do what we can is amazing. But this is a fun golf tournament. It's an 18-hole golf tournament. They call it the Shotgun Scramble. It's $75 a player. That includes your cart and the course. 18 holes of golf. It's a lot of fun. The whole sponsorships are $250. We hope folks that if they do a whole sponsorship, they'll go out there and have something fun to do on that hole, like we do at the McNary golf tournament that we do in July, which is over in Kaiser. And that next one next year is July the 18th. We also do car shows. That's a lot of fun. And our car show next year will not be at Brooks. It's been at Brooks the last 2 years, which is out there at the Heritage Pioneer Museums. We've outgrown that area. So we move into the Oregon State Fairgrounds. We'll be there most likely either the end of May next year or June. We don't know yet the exact date, but we're working on that right now, and we're in the planning stage for that. We talked to the development coordinator of the Oregon State Fairgrounds, and they're welcoming us with open arms. So we're gonna have a lot of fun out there. It's gonna allow our car show to grow as large as it wants to grow from that point forward. And the Oregon State Fairgrounds is a great place to have an event like that out in the Picnic Grove. The donation link is on our website. We have a paralog. Now, this is something that Ben's gotten involved with the chapter. Now, Ben's helping with the Paralog with distribution, an increased distribution of our Paralog. For us to get our word out, we have to use the different mediums. Just like if you're a business owner, you understand when business owners, you have to get eyes on yours. That's why you advertise, right? Well, we have digital advertising boards, one on Lancaster, one up in Beaverton, and others that our ad is on for Paralyzed Veterans of America. However, to get the word out, you really got to use print in the airwaves. And one of the things that we want to do is increase the distribution of our Paralog across the 3 states. It's a big undertaking. We're asking for volunteers to help with that, to help us build a distribution list of all the hospitals, clinics, neurologists, offices throughout all 3 states so that we can get our Paralog into their offices. A veteran may read it there, and then we can they'll call the office and maybe we can help them out. Just like I talked to one last night. The man broke his back. That means he's not getting help from the VA. Guess what? He's eligible to be in the PVA. Guess what? Now he has help from the VA because our national service officers are the best in the country, and they're highly trained and educated to learn the VA claims process and how they like to deny sometimes when they shouldn't. Now, what happens when a veteran gets denied care from the VA or benefits from the VA, and our national service officers come in, there's a retroactive pay that's due that veteran all the way back to the point that they were denied, as long as the information on their medical condition is in their service record. 7 years of separation from the service. As long as it's there, our guys can get them help. Now, if it's not there, they can start the help right away. That includes benefits. If you're on board a ship, you may suffer from COPD or something like that with your lungs. That's asthma. If you were around Agent Orange when you were in Vietnam War, or any of your friends were in Vietnam War, and they may have MS or other neurological impairments, guess what? PVA might be able to cover you and help you out with your lifetime claim with that VA who has turned you down. Well, guess what? You may actually have retroactive pay coming to you. You just don't know it. A lot of folks have already passed on. Their spouses were never taken care of. If you're a 100% service-connected veteran and you pass on, your spouse gets part of your pension for her lifetime as well, or his lifetime. It depends on the way that it was set up. And sometimes there's a kicker that kicks in at the end as well of the compensation package, where it'll kick in for a 100% service-connected veteran. Now that's really awesome because it helps the spouse, children, continue on. And for younger children, we have vocational rehabilitation available for them through school, college, trade schools, whatever they like to do. That's available through the VA. Folks just don't know these things, so pass that on to any of if you got a son or a friend that's served and they have a medical condition that causes them to have a disability through the VA, and they're rated at 100%, their children may have vocational rehabilitation. They definitely have vocational rehabilitation. After I got hurt and I got out, I had vocational rehabilitation that put me through school and helped me try to get back on the right track after suffering from a spinal cord injury from a gunshot. So the most important part that we have to understand as citizens of this country is that there are many who have stepped up and served. And the most thing to remember is that they're saying that you have some gave all and all gave some. And that's what the VA is for. The VA is there to help, but it's a big bureaucracy and it's very large. And it has one of the largest budgets in the Department of Defense. And the VA is a government agency. And anybody that's dealt with the government knows that there are people that work for the government that think they have all the power. That is why we advocate with the politicians to get laws and legislation passed, like the PACT Act. The PACT Act, Promise to Address Comprehensive Toxins Act, has allowed us to actually be able to now go back and look at denied claims and see if that veteran is able to receive compensation and health care from where they were, where they served, what they may have been exposed to that could have caused a service connection. And 3 million veterans so far have been evaluated. VA estimates there's 6 million. We're getting a 30% service connection rate out of those 3 million. So we've already connected 1 million out of that 3. We got another 3 to go. That means we should probably connect another 1 million. That means we got 2 million veterans in this country that fell through the cracks. The VA denied because they didn't have the PACT Act. They didn't have the legislative ability, they didn't have the ability or the money to be able to give benefits to all these veterans. Now they do. As part of the PACT Act, we made them set aside money outside of the budget that is called a Toxic Exposure Fund. We call it the TEF Fund. And that fund is there to help those veterans, those 1 million veterans, now 2 million. And the Toxic Exposure Fund will increase with every budget because there's going to be more and more veterans that are coming in that are going to need those benefits and that health care. And that's a set aside. That means the politicians can't touch it. All they can do is increase it. It's like, but somebody told me a long time ago that they weren't supposed to touch Social Security, right? Remember that? Oh, they're never going to touch Social Security. Oh, yeah, they will. But if you write the legislation right, you can keep their fingers out of there. And that's the most important part, because we got to protect our veterans. And I come from a military family myself. My family's, my father was Air Force. My grandfather was Army, World War II. My uncle was in the Korean War, in Marines, and I went in the Navy. And so it's still great that we all come from military families. Many of us do. The most important thing to remember is what they encountered while they served may now be affecting their health. So that's the most important to take away from that. And the Paralyzed Veterans of America is out in, like I said, in Silverton, and we're always looking for donations. QR codes on the screen. We're always looking for folks who are willing to step up and volunteer and help us out, like Ben and Randy. The most important thing, guys, is that we can't do it alone. Can't do it alone. We need you, and we need your friends, and we need your family, and we need you to spread the word for us, and that's why I'm here today. Thank you very much. So I'll take any questions if anybody has any.